Michael White, and my
And it's Anthea.
co-host.
Oh, sorry.
It's okay. That makes it
That was
fun.
a good start, wasn't
Makes it
it?
fun.
It's Anthea Murphy is here. Sorry, Michael.
No, that just makes it more organic. We're back, guys, with another interesting topic. Again, before we start, we really appreciate those that like, share, and subscribe because, guys, it's free to do, right? Like, if you rock with what we're talking about and it resonates with you, we don't ask for much. We ask you to click a like button, which takes 2 seconds, or share the video, whatever you feel comfortable with. That allows us to flourish and grow and actually get more of our content out there, which I think is important. I think there is a space for content like ours. And the thing is, some of the things we say, we're not talking about all women and all men, but we're looking at the majority, right? So um, go ahead, Anthony. I'm sure there's something you wanted to say.
Yeah, I was just going to say, look, we're just here to help you have a better relationship, better life, better overall, right, Michael? It's all about just kind of tapping into that side of it. And anything we can do to help, as we say, we're here to express, to actually, me and Michael just having a discussion about reality and faith.
Yeah,
And I think this is a subject we could actually tap into,
we
Michael.
can. I'll write it down on the list for sure.
Yeah, because
Um,
we were saying there's a fine line between
there is.
things, and yeah,
Well,
there's interesting points to speak about.
what I also want to say though before we start our promo video is I've heard the thing come up a lot, not in our space, but just in general of how can somebody give relationship advice or coaching advice when they're not married or have a successful relationship? And I'm going to answer that question right now and nip it in the butt. Is it's more of a sense of you learn from their experiences of what to do and what not to do,
Hmm.
right? Because myself, I am looking for a relationship. I'd like to be in one, right? So I have to study relationship dynamics. I have books here. I've showed them in the videos and stuff like that. Understanding masculine, feminine, boundaries, all those things. I have to study that stuff. So I'm not saying it makes me an expert, but what I am saying is that people will say, well, hey, why should you take advice from someone that's single? You also have to look at it too as number one, what do they study? And B is, are they trying to get into a relationship at some point in their life? So I think it's very wise to take advice from a single person, number one, that you respect.
Mm.
And number two, isn't going to give you advice that's going to derail you from your plan. And
Yes.
number three, give you the resources and tools to get in a relationship healthily and effectively. A single person can do that, but it depends because if they're just sleeping around, then no, I wouldn't take advice from them. But if it's like a genuine person that has the books, the resources, and would like to get into a relationship at some point in time, then I would totally be like, okay, what did you learn from this relationship and what did you not learn? And how do you, go forward to be better?
Yeah, and I think that's a really good point you just made there, Michael. Single or not single, I think it's the person themselves that you're looking at. You're not looking at whether they're single or not. It's are they congruent? Are they trying to be the best version of themselves? Are they into personal development? Are they learning about relationships? And just because we haven't had I can say I've had successful relationships, it's not that they haven't been a success while I've been in them. It's they've come to an end, but that means that I know that I can really point out what does not work, which means I know what does work, because where there's one end of the stick of what you know you don't want, there's the other end of the stick where you know what you do want. So we can break that down and say, okay, this is through this relationship, this is what happened, and by acting this way or by being that way or whatever it is within that time and space, then we can break down to say that didn't work, but this, when I done this, it did work. So we can really harness in on the things that work and the things that don't work, because we've been there. We've totally been there. And it's not just with one person. So there's experiences which I think are really beneficial, like having experiences with different people, because yes, you could have a married person, but they've been married to one person. So that one person could have the characteristics and ways that Not
Or they
saying that
could be miserable in their marriage. So, you
that's
know,
what I mean. And then, so it's really looking at that person and their lifestyle and who they are and what they're about is, I think, the main
I
point.
think it's just about intent. Like, is their intent to help you or harm you at the
Yes,
end of the day?
absolutely. Oh goodness, yeah, absolutely.
You
And
know,
most people subconsciously will guide you in the wrong direction just because it's a subconscious thing. They don't even know
well,
they're doing it, but they just think that,
mm,
yeah, just move on, or
well,
I
I
don't know.
think with all the tools that we provide when it comes to therapy, content, paid content, you know what I mean? We're really focused on giving the audience value to make better decisions when it comes to dating. So I'm gonna play the promo video because I know you guys are itching to hear what we have to say about compromising because you've all been there. I've been there, and
I've
we're
been
actually
there.
going to jump into today's topic. So, guys, let's talk about it. Compromising. Are you compromising too much in a relationship, or have you compromised in a relationship too much? It could go either or. So, I guess what we'll do is we will start with Anthea and I will ask her a question. Have you compromised in a relationship?
Oh, I have, yes. I've compromised my happiness, actually. I've
Okay.
compromised my happiness in a relationship just because I think, how can I say? So I've compromised me being happy to please another person.
Okay. Well, let's break that down. What are your four things now that you would never compromise on? Your
I,
four to five
I
at least.
well, I definitely wouldn't compromise my happiness if I'm not
Okay.
feeling it and I'm not in it and I'm feeling and I'm thinking to myself is not matching what I want. I'm out. Like, I'm not going to
Okay.
stick around. I'm not going to entertain. I'm not going to put my time and energy into something that I know is not for me. Once, you know what? I want to go into that, just that point there, because I've been in a relationship where I knew that it wasn't going to work, but I'd done it anyway because it came my way. And I thought, oh, it's come my way. It must be for me. So I've compromised my values,
Well, what are
which is
your other four? Like you said, you won't compromise on happiness. So, what are your other four that
So
you
I
would?
won't compromise on somebody being rude towards me. If somebody's swearing and angry, then there's no way I'm having that in my relationship. It's not happening.
Okay.
Um, doesn't support my journey.
Okay.
Um, and if you're emotionally unavailable and you're not going to be emotionally involved with me, then I'm not compromising myself on that. Like, it's a no deal for me.
Okay. So those are your non-negotiables. Like if
But
those are not
yeah,
met, you're like, I am out.
yeah, I mean, it's probably a bit deeper than that because I've
Well,
just
there's
kind of,
subcategories for sure, but like those are your
yeah,
top. Like,
yeah, definitely. I'm trying to think of it as you speak. There's probably going to be, it's going to start. My mind's going to open up a bit more to
well,
what else is
I'm
happening.
well. Again, I'm going to talk about my four to five, and then we'll get into it. So I won't. I've compromised, and again, I'm saying this wholeheartedly. I've compromised on someone that doesn't believe in God when I do. So that's number one. They got to believe in God or have some type of faith based foundation. If they don't, I can't date you. You know what I mean? A couple for me, a couple that prays together stays together, or at least does something like together on a spiritual level. Number two, they care about their health. I can't date someone that does not take care of their body, because it's very important for me for longevity for both of us. So if longevity is not like on your to-do list, then the odds of us probably having a successful relationship are not gonna happen. Number three, the person has to be open to correction, right? I can't date someone that always has this passionate need to be right. I can't do it. It's like, no, we all make mistakes. We all, you have to be open to correction. When I tell you something, don't argue with me. I'm telling you it for a reason. Now, can you have your opinions on it? Yes, but I don't want you to argue with me about it. Um, because again, it's just, I'm just like, if I'm telling you like, hey, like I don't like what you did, don't argue with me and say, well, blah, like no, I'm telling you, listen. And then I would say number four is I need to be with somebody that has hobbies and passions. I don't want to deal with
Mm,
somebody that just goes to work, comes home, goes to work, comes home, repeats the same cycle, and
mm.
has no outside passions or hobbies. I can't do it. I'm a very passionate man. I'm passionate about multiple things. And so for me, if you're not passionate about stuff and you just want to work your 9 to 5, not that there's anything wrong with that, then I'm probably not the guy for you. And then I would say my fifth one, which I would say is very important, is if I'm going to consider you as a partner, I need someone that is emotionally available / affectionate. I don't want to have to deal with somebody that has remnants of the past. Like I'm not saying that like no one's perfect, but what I am saying is I can't deal with somebody that had like been cheated on or something like that and hasn't resolved their issues or
Mm.
hasn't resolved any of their, because then it bleeds into the relationship, right? Like let's say someone has trust issues, that bleeds into the relationship. If she's like, oh, you haven't answered my text, blah blah blah, but I'm like studying, I'm working out or something like that, and then her mind starts to run like, oh, maybe he's with another woman or something. I can't do it. That's emotionally taxing for me.
Yeah, you've just touched on some amazing points there, Michael. Some really quite deep points as well. And I think, the biggest one that really stood out for me was to say that what you just said about someone believing in God and having the faith. It's like, I believe in the universe and the law of attraction, but I also believe it's not the law of to me that's a God force. It's an
Mm.
energy. So if somebody can't, you said how did you say it? If people that pray together stay
Stay
together.
together, yeah. It's
That's,
like,
do you know what? I've never heard that. I think that's amazing. And somebody has suggested to me the other day, and I thought, cool, it just really resonated with what you just said. They said, you want to get close with your partner, meditate with them. And I thought,
yeah,
cool,
that's what I
so
mean. Like
true,
some
right?
form of like, you know what I mean? And
Yeah,
I,
and that was actually Gina that we had on the show last week, and she said like
yeah.
meditation because I meditate in general. So having someone who's open to being able to meditate, because that's being able to show up as yourself. Because like something like praying or meditation, if somebody's not into that, they're just not going to support that. They're going to, I've had it where people going, that's just weird. Like, what are you doing? And it's like, well, I don't need to
Let's
explain
get it.
myself.
Well, let's get into it then, because I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I've dated people and compromised on those things,
Yeah,
and
me
the
too.
relationships failed, guys. Like I
Yes,
dated women that did not believe in God. It failed. It
yes,
failed miserably
yes,
because there was no strong foundation. I've dated
yes,
women where they were not passionate. They literally wanted to do a 9 to 5, come home, we have our date nights, and that's it. And I'm like, the conversations were bland, man. Like they were boring. Like it's like this
yes.
person has no zest, no zeal, and I do. So it just it didn't work.
And you're so on point there because it does not work. Like I dated somebody who had no passion for anything in life and wanted to jump on everything that I was doing. And it just did not work because at the end of the day I created this. And not that you can't do that and work along, like having a partnership is big because you're partnering up together and you're working together. So maybe I would help him or he would help me. But if somebody hasn't got nothing going and they don't want to actually do anything in their life, like you had stated, we're very passionate people. We wouldn't be doing this if we weren't. We love to create, we love to put content out there, create content. Like for me, I write books, I write ebooks. I've created so many courses over the past couple of years. So I'm very creative in that sense and love putting content. So somebody who doesn't have nothing like that, and like you said, and there's nothing wrong with the 9 to 5 because 9 to 5 is it's a way of living at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
And some people are more than happy with that. But like you said, for me, somebody comes along and that's all they want to do and come home from work because they've had this 9 to 5 all day. they've been up and done the same thing, and come to like 6, 7 o'clock, they come home and all they want to do is lie on the sofa and watch TV. That's a no-go for me. It's like absolutely no-go. I refuse to live my life like that, and I will not compromise on that at all.
See, I think what we also need to ask though, and we'll get into the subcategories as well, guys, is why did we compromise on these things?
Because we didn't know any better. I think at that
I,
point in life, you don't realize you're not. I think that's where experience comes into things, because unless you've been there, how do you know what you don't want and why? And then unless you can look back at these things and really break it down, how do you know what went wrong in the first place? Because otherwise, if you're not looking at it and you're not breaking it down, you repeat the same things. But if you can, like you said about healing, I think that's part of a healing process, right?
I would say a little bit, because I can actually own my stuff and say that a lot of it came from ignorance. I knew that they weren't for me, but I didn't care because of how attractive they were. And that's the thing that I overlooked. I said, well, it's fine. It'll work itself out. Because the thing is, I didn't want to lose them. That's the
Mm,
thing, right? So I had
mm,
this mentality of, well, I know we're not going to work out, but I don't want to lose them. And even when I was in it, I didn't want to lose them because, number one, the sex was great. And again, I'm going to openly say that. But I knew it wasn't going to work.
mm.
But it was that lack of acknowledgement and that lack of ignorance that ended up just breaking both of our hearts, anyways.
Yeah, and that's the thing, isn't it? Because deep in your heart, you just know it's not. There's so many things um that pop up, and I think the way you know is when you get annoyed with things that they do. Because if you're in a healthy relationship and you've got that the platform to build from, and you're working from the same values, and you want the same things, and everything matches, everything aligns with what you, not everything, but most of the stuff that you're looking for, you both want the same things, then you're not going to be nitpicking at things.
I agree.
So when you're saying, I need you to be different in order for me to love you, then you're not accepting them for who they are, and it's not going to work. Because the fact that you need them to be different is, how can you expect somebody to be different when that's who they are? Accept them as they are and be with them, or accept them as they are and walk
And
away
don't
because it's
and
not
don't
for
move.
you. Stop entertaining it. And we have been there, we have entertained it, absolutely. And like you said, it is the ignorance of the sex being good, or or not even conversations. Or I know one of my things was, I remember in a relationship where we liked the same comedian, so we'd put this comedian on and we would watch him all the time and be laughing, and I would confuse that with getting on with this person. Well, actually, whether I realized one day he wasn't there, and I put on, it was Lee Evans, and I put on Lee Evans, and I was literally on the floor crying with laughter with nobody there. So it didn't matter that it was nothing to do with him, but I related them together to say, oh, because we both like this and because we laugh and we have fun. But no, I was having fun by myself anyway. So I didn't actually, that wasn't a reason to stick around. But I would find reasons, say, oh, well, the sex is good, or we watch this, or we do get on. But actually, we don't have a connection. We don't hold the same values, but yet you stick around. And this is what I really want to put out there, like, to don't compromise in these things. When right? It's not right for you. Walk.
Well, again, I want us to go into a truth space here. So what we're going to do is we're going to enter in, as I like to call it, the royal chambers. Right. So the royal chambers, we don't lie here, right? It's the kingdom. It's like, in a court, and royal court, we don't lie
I
here.
love it.
So what happens is we're going to enter the kingdom, and it's exactly what she said. The worst lies are not the ones that other people tell to you. It's the ones you tell to yourself.
Mm. Yes, Michael, it is the worst
We
when you
get
lie
so
to
mad that
yourself.
other people lie to us when it's the lies that you tell to yourself that are the worst, man. And that's
Yeah.
truth from the royal kingdom right then and there, man. Like, you need to be honest with yourself. You need to feel comfortable, because everyone's going to be different, right? And everyone's going to have their five standards of what they want and what they don't want and what their expectations are or what they're not willing to compromise on. If you love yourself, why would you compromise? And that's the thing. Clearly, if you're compromising on things, you don't love yourself. Now, with that being said, there are subcategories. And what I mean is there's certain things that you can be like, you know what? I can let that go. It's not that big of a deal. So what I mean is, and I will throw an example out there. Let's say you're dealing with a girl and you go to the gym 5 days a week and she only goes three. You can compromise. That's not a big deal. You know what I mean? Like, that's not a big deal. Let's say you are a heavy traveler and she only wants to travel like once or twice a year. That's not a big deal. She has that traveling spirit, just not as heavy as yours, because maybe she's doing something else that requires her to stay here locally. You see what I'm saying? So every situation is going to be situational. So that's what I'm saying. There are subcategories which are like, you know what? Yo, that's not as big as deal. Like me, for example, man, I love going to lounges. I don't like clubs, but I like lounges where I can hear the people speak. We can chill. You know, I go to pubs sometimes with my boys. I haven't obviously in a while, but I like those places. But if I was dating, I don't like pubs. Okay, we won't go to pubs, but it's not a deal breaker. I'll only
Yeah.
go to pubs then with my guy friends, and then with my dates, we'll go out to other places.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. There's subcategories under it where you're like, okay, you know, it's not breaking the camel's back where it's like a big deal for you where you're gonna freak out.
Yeah, and I think again it's an overall thing you're looking at, isn't it? It's like you said,
Mm,
the subcategories comes in because if A, B, C, D, and E is all aligned,
mm,
and then you've got something like you just said, you like to go to lounges and
yeah,
they don't want to go to they want to go to go and chill out and lounge, but they also want to go to a club once every
yeah,
6 months. It's like, okay, let's go to a club together once every 6 months, whatever. it's not it's not going to make it, it's not going to change your relationship, it's not going to
no,
make a huge difference to where you're going at the end of the day. And I think that's what you've got to really look at. But let's say let's go a bit more into the deeper side, and you're a person who likes to communicate and speak about things, and your partner just wants you go to tell them something, and the way they communicate is by screaming and shouting and effing and blinding. To me, that's a big thing, because if that's happening every single day of your life, then that's draining, because
oh,
you've
then
got
that's part of
somebody.
your top five, which you would never compromise on. But your
Absolutely.
subcategories, you might compromise on something that's not like a big deal, right? So, like, let's say,
Yeah.
for example, you dated a guy, and let's say, for example, like, he didn't always dress the nicest. You might be like, okay, you know, as long as he doesn't look like a bum,
Mm,
I'm okay with that. You see what I'm saying? Like, you might let that slide.
mm.
You know, if he shows up in jeans and a t-shirt, you might be like, cool. Like, once in a while, he'll break out the suit, but jeans and a
Do you know
t-shirt
what? It's
doesn't
quite
bother me.
funny. It's quite funny you use that example, because I know someone who's quite close to me who, when she met her husband now, but at the time they weren't. Obviously, they just met. But when they decided they're going to be together, the first thing she said is, "You're changing you're changing your style. I'm literally gonna style you," and because they met so many of their needs and wants and desires together, and they were aligned with what they wanted, he had no problem. So they went out shopping, and she
Yeah, see?
literally bought him a whole new wardrobe, and he dresses until this day, and it's been like about 8 years or 9 years now, and still he dresses to how he's actually conformed to that and loves the way he dresses now.
See?
But she just wasn't having it. She was like, no, we're going to be together, I'm sorry, but this is what's going to happen. And he was like, okay. And I think because when you truly are in the right relationship and you actually know that you feel everything aligns within you,
You
then
have a level of certainty.
yeah, you have a level of certainty. You will do things like that, and it's not a big
Yeah, you
deal.
won't mind stepping out of certain
Your comfort zone.
spaces with
Yes,
that individual,
yes. But
because
if
you
it
feel certain.
yes, and but if it was somebody who you wasn't certain about, and there was a lot of things that you just thought, I don't know, like I don't like this or I don't like that. This doesn't work for me. That doesn't work for me. Whatever it is, and then somebody was to suggest that, they'll probably put their back up, like literally their back will go up, and then they won't do that.
Well, we've
And
always said it on the podcast that when a girl really likes a guy, she'll break certain rules for that guy, but for the
yes,
super nice guy, she'll enforce her rules. We've
yes,
always said that on the podcast.
yes, so true.
But
It's so
we're
true.
overall telling you, no matter a Chad or a Tyrone, a nice guy or not, don't break your rules for anybody, especially your top five. You need to understand what your top five
Negotiables.
are and then understand your subcategories. So your main ones and your sub ones. So,
Yeah.
obviously my list is longer for the main ones because obviously including all the ones that I gave earlier, I would include I need a woman that's feminine, submissive, agreeable. You know what I mean? I would include all those things. So my list is probably like almost 10 things. But I'm saying whatever your, let's say, top 5 to 10 things are, you're not willing to compromise. Like I will not deal with a woman that's rude and crass. I won't do it.
And I
If,
won't deal with a
if
man who's rude and crass.
yeah,
No
if you
way.
are not
Won't do
like
it.
feminine 100% all the time, I can't deal with you. Because think about it. If you're not feminine, what are you? You're masculine. I'm masculine. We're gonna butt heads. It's
Mm,
not working.
mm. It was interesting on when we done the 9 signs that a relationship's not going to work
Mhm.
on Monday, and it was very interesting to hear Stefan say that even in a relationship where you've 2 women, 2 men, there's always going to be that balance. There's going to be one who's more feminine and one who's more masculine, and I found that really interesting. And I thought about it after, and I thought it's so true. There's always you need that balance for it to work. It doesn't matter what
You guys
gender
complete
and how
each
it's.
other. That's how it
Yes,
is. It's like it's easier
yes, yes. And yeah, that was a really good point that he made. So what you're saying, you need somebody who's feminine.
all the time.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Because you start stepping into that masculine role, like you said, it's going to start butting heads. And I think that's with anything, with any relationship. And that's the same for me. If my man's not being masculine and he's showing a feminine side, like starts 50% of the time, then obviously it's not gonna work.
Well, let's have a little bit of correction on that. He's masculine all the time, but he knows when to be what. Like, and again, we've said
Yeah,
it on the podcast. Like, if
yes,
you're
yes,
crying,
yes,
he's not gonna be like, "Yo, stop your crying." You know what I mean?
yeah.
Like, he's gonna come to
And
you
that's
with
being rude.
compassion. Yeah, he's
Yeah,
gonna come to you with compassion in that moment.
yes, yes,
So
yes,
that's what I'm saying. Like, he's not being feminine, but he knows how to be compassionate. Because
yes.
again, when you look at um any movie role, and again I'll use, I guess, one of my favorite is the movie Troy, with Brad Pitt. It's one of my favorite movies. Very masculine man, but he knew when to be compassionate because he had a sidekick that worked for him, that was beside him, that he was very compassionate towards. He cared about him. And then when he died in the movie, he was like, okay, I need to go find the guy that killed him. So that's what I'm trying to say is it's masculine all the time, but it's like knowing when to be what.
Yeah, absolutely.
Um,
No, I totally agree with that.
so
Absolutely.
what I want to ask Anthea, because again, I know sometimes there's women, a lot of times there's women watching us. Why do women compromise too much in a relationship?
Because they're scared. They're exactly what we said earlier on. They're scared they're going to lose the person. They don't want to be by themselves. They're scared they're not going to find somebody else.
So
So
it's like
they,
emotional.
it's all emotional. It's all very, yeah, and they can't see themselves. It's like, let's say somebody's been with someone for a long time, they can't see themselves. Well, how would I even find anybody else? How would that even work? They can't see past where they are. So for that reason, they rather stay where they are and live like kind of a lot of the time internally misery. Like they're unhappy. They stay unhappy within themselves just because they don't want to be by themselves. So rather than, and I think unless you can experience what life is like by yourself, you don't really find yourself and learn, because you
So you're
have to
saying
have
it's easier
that
for
time.
them to compromise than be alone.
Absolutely. And I think that's exactly what it comes down to, Michael. It literally is that they find it easier to stay in a relationship that's not working, that doesn't meet any of their needs, wants, and desires, rather than being alone and having to work it out by themselves. Because the man is a man. And, I know if you've got a man around, as a woman, I often feel safe around a guy. If he's, a masculine man, I feel safe around them. So you take that away, then, and somebody's used to having that masculine side of that person around, and they feel safe as well. You take that, then they don't feel safe no more, and they probably are sort of frightened that what that feeling of feeling unsafe or unsecure, and they don't know how to be secure within just themselves without having this person around. So they just stick it through, and they find every excuse, every reason to say why they're still there, because of this, because of that, because, there's kids involved, or we've been together for a long time, or, you know, what will I do if he's not around? Or there's all these things that are said, but actually, you really truly ask yourself, am I truly happy? And the answer is no. Then do what you can to make yourself happy, because no one else can make you happy. But you do have to have somebody who enhances your happiness. And if they're not enhancing your happiness and you feel really unhappy, then there's a big problem. And it's not for you to live your life like that for the rest of your life because of being frightened. And I always say we were born alone and we leave this planet alone. So there's nothing to be scared of in between. There just isn't. Like, there's obviously you've got the side of it, Michael, where what's the word, where you've got the thing of being able, as a woman, if you're too much by yourself, you can become
Independent.
too independent, and you don't know how to let in another because you've done so much for yourself for so long. But at the same time, I don't think you should worry about things like that, because when the right man comes along, you're going to naturally fall into that feminine side. It's going to naturally be like you feel, I don't know, like when you've got a good man around and he meets all your wants, needs, and desires, and you meet his wants, needs, and desires, and you come together, you naturally, all of that worry goes, because you just become the feminine side of you.
I love that you said that, because that's exactly what the reader yesterday from the message that I read exactly said. When she saw the person that she wanted, they weren't married at the time, but she was like, I want him to marry me. I have to be in my feminine 100%. I want him to think I'm the best girl in the world. I want him to think XYZ about me. So
Mm,
she was 100% in her feminine. Not that she was ever masculine, but even before him, she was always feminine. But
but you
she
naturally
wanted to
become
get into it
more.
more,
Yes.
because when she saw him, she was like, I need to be able to meet whatever it is he needs.
Yes. And you kind of have that feeling of like looking up at them like you're my hero. Like you're my
Exactly.
everything,
Exactly. And it's the same thing with a man. Like, a man should want to be masculine without his woman. He should just flat out be that.
Mm,
But when he gets the woman, it evolves into hyper masculinity, because now he has something to protect. Now he has something to cultivate. Now he has like a family to grow, and all those things. So now it becomes
yes.
hyper. Now he's like, I really got to move the money train. I really got to do this. I really got to do this, because again, he has that woman in his life, which
That
is
he wants to
providing
be
him.
there for and
Yeah,
provide
that he
for,
wants
right?
to be there for, that he wants to provide, protect, and do those things for. So now it goes into hyperdrive.
Yes. And that becomes and that's natural, isn't it? It's just natural. It happens naturally. So I think all the worrying that women do, and the scared, and that fear, and all those thoughts of, being so frightened of, are they going to make it by themselves? Of course you're going to make it by yourself.
Well,
You came into this world by
I
yourself.
want to
Like,
give
as in,
I want to give a beautiful example to attach the masculinity. Anybody that's ever seen the movie 300, um, the guy was training with his dad, and then his dad sends him out into the wild to go fight a wolf. And he kills the wolf. So he was alone, no woman. He's in his masculinity, goes out there, kills wolf. Fast forward in the movie, the man's running Sparta, right? So he has a wife and he has a child at this time. So right now he's in his hyper masculinity, right? He has a wife and everything. So then this other guy comes, and says, well, hey, you're going to have to get under our banner. You need to fight with us, blah, blah, blah. So then his hyper masculinity comes in, because now this guy's threatening his city. He's pretty much asking them to get under their thumb of a banner he doesn't want to get under. So his hyper masculinity comes in, because he pretty much tells the guy, you're going to enslave our women, kill the men, do whatever with the children. So then his hyper masculinity comes in, and then that's when he kicks the guy down the hole and says, well, this is Sparta, we're not doing that. So that's what I'm trying to say, that when a guy has the right woman in his life, his hyper masculinity jumps in, and he literally wants to be the best provider, do the best things, be everything and everything for that woman. But even pre that, he should still be masculine. It's like a woman, before she meets a man, she should always be in her feminine. And then when she gets the guy that she really wants, it just hyper.
yeah.
It's hyper
Yeah.
femininity.
Be what you want to bring to the relationship in the
Well,
first place.
I think a lot of times in that sense, women be what the guy wants them to be. In that sense, like,
Yes.
she's making him food, she's doing his laundry, she's doing all these things without him even having to ask, because she's trying to stand out from the rest.
Yes, and I watched the program the other day, and it's interesting to what we're speaking about right now, because there was a couple that got together, and the woman had she had a child already, and they they decided they wanted to get married. Right? It was quite fast, whatever. Anyway, they decide to get married, and just like about a month before the wedding, the man started saying, I can't wait to have a family, I can't wait to have children. And her face just went white. She's like, I don't want any more children. And he was like, what do you mean?
That's a podcast we got to talk about that.
Yeah, so he was like, and this is compromising here, right? So
yeah.
And he was like, what do you mean? And she's like, no, I've got my child. And he says, yeah, but I don't have children. My life, all I want is, I've created, he's a multi-millionaire, he's got businesses, he's done.
How long were they together?
So they were, I think, together maybe not even like 3 or 4 months.
Okay.
It was like, quite a short space of time, but they'd been working together for quite a while. So they got to know each other, a lot of flirting going on. And then eventually they got together, and they just knew they wanted to be together. So he was like, look, I just want to marry you. Like, I'm ready. And so she was like, yes, whatever. They moved in. And so, yeah, he was just well, that's it. So he went to his friend who's also getting married, and he said to his friend, that's it, I'm done, I'm walking away. And his friend said to him, no, you don't make that decision that quickly, don't make that decision straight away, just hold your horses, hold on a bit. And he's like, well, what's the point? I'm not going to compromise on this, I want a family. And anyway, so his friend pulls in his woman, and this guy's woman that he wants to marry is going to walks in as well. And they said, right, let's have a discussion about it. And the best friend's woman had sat there and said, listen, at the end of the day, just because you've got one child, if you really love this guy, you want to have children with him, you want to build a family with him. And then anyway, it came out the reason she didn't want to have children is because she was so scared that he would walk away from her and then she would be by herself again. So they had to, so the trust, it was a conversation. They ended up having a very deep conversation. And he said, listen, I'm promising you, this is, you have to be able to trust me. If we're coming into a marriage, this is all I want in my world. I've built my businesses. I want a family. So if you can trust me and you can take my word for what I'm saying, I will not leave you. Doesn't matter how tough it gets.
Did she end up having the child?
So now she's now turned around and said, yes, she will have a baby with him because she wants to, and she's not, it's not because of fear. Now she trusts and she's let go and she's become vulnerable. Then yes, they go
But you
forward.
see, the only problem with that is they should have had that conversation beforehand.
Yes, and that's what I said as well. And
He
they
should
didn't
have
have
he
that
should have
conversation.
sat down and figured out why she doesn't want to have children. Like
Yes.
what is the thing
Yes.
behind it? Because that's the
Yes.
thing. You never want to have to convince somebody to want what you want. Like if you're
Yeah.
like, yo, I'm not budging on this,
Yeah.
you shouldn't have to convince them to want it.
Yeah.
But
the
was a
sweet
truth
thing
in her thing
yes.
of she doesn't want to be alone raising 2 children.
Yes, and
I
that's
get
what
it.
that's what it came down to.
But she should have voiced that in the beginning. The reason
Yes.
why I'm skeptical about having children is because I don't want to be alone and be a single mother.
Yes.
Okay,
It's
I
already
understand that. Then the guy can react to that and say, hey, I'll do XYZ to kind of ease that tension.
Yes. And they done that after. And the problem there was he assumed from the beginning because she had a child, she would want more children.
I would have never waited that long. I would have
And
had the discussion off, like not like within a month or two. I would
yes,
have understood where the person stands on these things,
yes,
and we
yes,
would have had a conversation about it. Like,
yes,
and I'm talking like getting down to the truth. Like, why don't you want to have kids? Why not? If they're just like, I just don't want to have kids, okay.
done. That's it. And hers wasn't that. Hers was she wanted more children, but she just wanted.
Yeah, she had a reasoning behind it, but whatever
it
that reason is, if it's like, you know, whatever, not wanting to be alone, or if it's just they just don't want any, based off that decision, I'm either going to stay or leave.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is where, like you just said, if you're going to force someone, then that's compromising in the wrong way, because if it comes like something as deep as having a child, that's a woman carrying a baby and giving birth. And there's lots of things that come with that, your body change, your hormones. There's so much that comes with being pregnant. So if somebody is trying to force a decision on you then, and you compromise and say, okay, I'll have a baby, like as if like, yes, I'll go and have an Indian meal tonight, like, you know, try it out. It's not, it doesn't work.
You see, their situation was interesting because you see she had a kid before.
Yeah.
So either she left or the guy left.
The guy left.
Yeah. Okay, so the guy left, but you see there was some form of trauma there.
Yes.
You see what I'm saying? And the trauma was never addressed.
Yes. Literally. But that's
what it ended up coming down to. There was trauma. She was like, I don't want another child. All men are kind of the same. They're just going to jump ship.
Yeah.
And the guy the new guy didn't know about the trauma. He knew she had a child.
Yep.
But he that's what I'm saying. Like therapy or getting some type of help is so important because you need to be able to address your traumas.
Yes.
If you can't do that, then your relationships just don't flow, man.
No. You know what? It's another thing that's something that a program about dating, and it's amazing because all the questions I've been watching it just to really get that, because it's very organic in the sense of they meet up and they have a first date together. And they've never met each other before. Someone else organizes it, a company, organization organizes it. And it's so interesting because every single one of these people that sit down, Michael, all ask about past relationships. And I haven't come across anybody who's healed yet. Like they all go into, oh, this happened, that happened, and it's so bad, and I don't like this. And
it's interesting because everybody says, well, the past is the past. Well, no, the past was going to tell a lot about the present. The past is gonna tell a lot about who you are in the present and what you've had to overcome.
And
So
all
I
of them
think,
are turned
I'm
up
not saying
unhealed.
you need to dig into it extensively, but you need to understand the type of relationships they've had in the past.
But
And
and those
most people don't address those things.
no, and what keeps them getting revealed is, and what keeps them coming to the surface is when that question is asked and they go into the relationships, it's always trauma that they haven't dealt with.
Or pain. Yeah.
That's all I'm seeing. Like, I'm waiting to find somebody comes to the table that is literally healed and ready and has accepted what's happened. But most of them, I'd say, well, I don't think I've come across one that has been healed. They've all come and that question's been asked, and they either end up crying, they end up going to the toilets, they go to the cameras and say this happened and that
Some
happened.
type of brokenness that was never addressed.
Yes, 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 yes. And the other person sitting in front of them feeling sorry for them. And it's like, well, that's just putting yourself there as a victim. Like, oh, this happened to me. And I mean, it's like, no, no, no. You need to heal from that, learn from that, grow from that, and show up fresh and say, yes, like you said, you need to know what's happened in their past. Absolutely, because that's what's made them who they are today. But sit with conviction, with knowing, with this sense of I'm past that. I'm
Well, there's a reason why,
healed
because you
from that.
see, you told an amazing story about that guy. If they would have had that conversation about her past and the guy just leaving, then he could have understood that there was trauma there. Because you
Yeah,
see, at first he was upset. Well, why don't you want to have children? Like, he kind of felt like he was conned.
yeah,
You know
he
what I
did
mean? Like, he
feel.
felt like he was conned because he's like, wait, what? You don't want to have any more kids? Like, yo, like, I'm wasting my time here. But if they
Yes,
would have had the conversation in the beginning and she would have said, look, my baby daddy left. I was left to raise a child on my own. I'm a little scared and I'm a little skeptical about the next guy. There's trauma there. The trauma could have been addressed and then they could have moved forward happily.
which they
Um,
did in the end, which
no,
was
which
really
they did
nice.
in the end, but you see, like,
That's a movie.
no, but that's what I'm saying. It could have been saved
Yeah,
from having to bring his best friend in, his
yeah,
best friend's girl in. If they
yeah.
would have sat down and had the conversation.
Just them two together. Yeah, absolutely. It
So,
was so yeah, it was so interesting to hear that. And yeah, so compromising there, like I think we'll go back to, say there's compromising in the sub things, in small things, but when it comes down to your true values,
and
there's
that's what it comes down to, right? Like, and again, I'm going to say at least 1 to 5 or 5 to 10 principles that you don't budge on. That,
don't
like, that you're like,
non-negotiables.
no, like, if this is not in here, we can't be together.
Hmm.
And that's
And
why we
don't be
covered, like,
scared.
yeah, and that's why we covered the Stefan thing, because he says your relationship is going to fail if these 9 things are not addressed and you're
Right,
not on the same page, or there's not
right,
a connection or
right.
whatever. Even with the sexual stuff, same page. Now,
Yep,
when it comes to that, there can be some compromises. There
yep,
can be, but it should never be on the heavy things,
yep,
like a healthy sex life 3 or 4 times a week, or whatever it may be.
yep.
So,
No, I
um
agree. I agree. And I think it's time for people to really stand in their truth on that. Because so many people don't, and they hide behind so much. And actually, when you step into your true power, which is your knowing and not compromising, and yes, it might take you a bit longer to find someone, but wouldn't you rather have that take longer and be by yourself during that time while you grow, then jump into something that you're compromising on so many different aspects and then end up in a relationship that you've got to find ways to get out of? Then actually taking that time, and maybe it's going to be an extra 6 months that you're going to be doing this, walking this earth as a single person, but it doesn't
well,
matter. It
well, that's
doesn't
why
matter.
I want to do a topic called protecting your heart. I'm going to add
Okay,
it to the list.
okay.
And the reason why is because you're saying something very interesting. People want love, but they don't want to take the risk.
Yes, that's the
That's the
thing.
thing.
Yeah.
And I think, you know what? I think we should name it that. People want love, but they don't want to take the risk. They want the love, they want all that stuff, but they don't want to take the risk with that person. They want them, they want to be with them, they want all these things, but love is risky.
Want love. But I'm just gonna write it down.
Yeah. That's the thing you guys need to understand. Sometimes you get burned, sometimes you don't. A vetting process limits the burned, but it doesn't mean you still won't get burned. But
Absolutely.
but there's a lesser chance of you getting burned because again, if you're not compromising on your top 1 to 5 or 5 to 10, you're walking away from people that aren't for you. They're gonna break your
Yes.
heart anyways.
Yes, and it
That's the
won't break
thing.
your heart because you already know that you're standing in your truth.
Yeah,
So
they're gonna
you're,
break your heart anyways. So you
yeah, but
walking
Michael,
away from those people,
when you're standing in your truth and you know, and you're not taking the compromise, then you're less likely to have your heart broken because you know you're standing up for you, for your values, for
yeah,
what you. So you don't get into that emotional state.
no,
But
you
it's
don't.
when you don't know that and you're walking into it and you're just allowing these things to happen that you get so emotional because you're not standing there to say to yourself, well, actually, I'm not compromising on this. Oh, yes, I will compromise on that. And I'm quite happy to do that. And I don't see a problem with that. But when you're not knowing that and you're going into something, you're going to get your heart broken more so because you're not actually, you're just allowing shit to happen, man. And
Yeah, and that's why I always say, and again, I'll say something is I never say your truth because truth is subjective. I say walking in certainty. Certainty that you're not going to move on like those things because all your, and again, this is where it's, I'm not going to say dicey, but you also need to make sure that your compromises are reasonable.
mm,
Because if you have like 1 to 5 or 5 to 10 things that you're not budging on, make them reasonable. Some people
mm-hmm,
have some outlandish ones,
mm,
and and those are what's keeping them single. So let's also be honest about that. They have to be reasonable.
mm-hmm.
You can't be like, well, and again, your standards are your standards. We're not here to tell you what not to have. But if you're like, well, I want a guy that's 6 foot something and makes 6 figures, yo, those are a small group of dudes.
Mm. Go hunting, my friends.
Yeah, like that's a small group of dudes. Like, so that's what I'm trying to say is you also have to be reasonable within your preferences.
Yes. Yes.
Because if you have some like outlandish ones, they're never gonna get met. Like if you're dating a girl and you're like, yo, we gotta have sex like 7 times, like like every day, sex every day. It's like, no, like be reasonable.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that.
And that's why I wanted to add that in there because, like, we're telling people not to compromise and you need to sit down and figure out what yours are, but at least let them be reasonable, at least.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
And to end this podcast off is the reason why the reason why I actually wanted to talk about this one so much is because you need to understand that if you date somebody, you cannot change them into what you want them to be.
Yes, Michael. Well,
And
I'm so glad you said that.
I'm making this statement because, again, we all know, well, maybe Anthea knows, but that Pastor Devon Franklin and Megan Good are getting a divorce. If you understand Devon's background, he grew up in the church. He's a man of faith. He's born and bred. That's how he is. Megan's not really about that life. She believes in God, but like you see, when he married her, it's like he tried to make her into a preacher's wife.
Mm,
And she wasn't about that. Look at some of the
mm-mm,
movie roles she's taken, look at some of the things she's done, look at how she kind of puts herself out there. You can tell that girl was not ready to be a preacher's wife.
mm,
He tried to change her into one.
mm.
The marriage lasted 10 years, but at some point, it just imploded.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I'm trying to tell you guys, you have your standards as long as they're not outlandish, but don't ever compromise trying to change somebody into your standards.
Mm-hmm.
You might get them. Hypothetically, you might get them. They might be like, yes, but down the road, it's going to implode. It is going to implode. It's just a
Yep.
matter of when.
Yep.
And we've all been there. I've been there.
I've been
Anthony's
there.
been there. You say
I've been
yes
there.
up front.
Yep.
You say yes up front.
Yep.
But then later on, it implodes because you know that they weren't for you. You tried to change them. They tried to change you. It had a nice run, but then eventually you're like, I really don't want to be with them.
Yeah. If you can't accept somebody, if you're looking at somebody and you want to change things about them, they're not for you.
No.
They're just not for you. The fact that you want to change stuff about them, like, first of all, look at it. Who are you to change somebody else?
It's
And think
exhausting.
and demand that they change in order for you to be in a relationship with them.
Well, it's exhausting,
It's
first of all.
exhausting, and I'm sorry, but I'm going to put it in the blunt way
No, go
possible. It's
ahead.
wrong. It's
Well,
wrong to try and it is wrong, Michael, because why would, like, who made you into somebody who can turn around and say, I demand you change so that I can be in a relationship with you? No, actually, walk away and go and find someone who you can accept them for who they are. End of story.
well, I'm going to say something very interesting here before we end. I'm going to say it's the fruit salad effect. I know people are sitting there wondering, what the hell is that? When you try to change someone, let's say you go to a restaurant, right? And they bring you a fruit salad, right? We all know fruit salad has everything in it. But what you do is you only pick out the things you like. That's what you do when you're literally trying to change somebody. You're saying, I will take the blueberries, I'm going to take the pineapple, I'm going to take the apple. But you know what? I don't really like strawberries. I'm going to pick the strawberries out. I'm going to pick this out. I'm going to pick this out. Why wouldn't you just, when the chef comes to you, just say, hey, I don't like strawberries in my fruit salad? Sorry. That's exactly what you need to do when you're dating.
Yeah.
Don't date somebody and then just pick out the things that you like.
Yeah.
There's going to be things that you don't like that they do. But when you're trying to change them, what you're doing is picking out what you don't like from the salad. Why would you order it anyways? Why
And then
wouldn't you
hope it
just say
changes.
exactly? And then whatever, we'll just go there.
But hang on, it's go on. Sorry.
No, we'll go there. Then you complain that there's strawberries in the salad, knowing you don't like strawberries.
Yeah. Or you're looking at the strawberries and wanting the strawberries to change into the blueberries.
Exactly.
And it's like, well, the strawberry is not going to change into a blueberry. It's not going to happen. So why would you expect a human being to change, to conform into something that you want them to be? Like, the strawberry is not going to change. So the human's not. And even if they try to, even if the strawberry tried to shovel around and tried to be, you got a little bit of blueberry over it, so it looked like it's turning into blueberry. It's not turned into blueberry.
It's not, because two things are going to happen. You're either the person's going to bring your fruit salad, you're not going to like the strawberries in it, or you're going to pick out the strawberries. Those are the two. And it's like, if you really want to enjoy it, just say, hey, I don't like strawberries in my fruit salad. Can you not put them in there? Put everything else.
Yeah.
Or just order something else.
Yes.
That's how you deal with dating. Not saying, oh, I'll date this person, but I'll just pick at the little things and I'll try to change the other things. No. We don't do that. Now, again, I'm going to go back because I know some people are going to pick our podcast apart. With Anthea's friend, it was different. Because you see how she was like, hey, if you're going to be with me, you can't dress like that. She didn't like what was in the salad, but he was acceptable to say, okay, I that I can do.
Yeah.
That I can do. That's just changing my style, but that has nothing to do with his character. Right. She wasn't trying to change his character. That's the
Mm-hmm.
difference. That's why I wanted
Mm-hmm.
to add that in, because I know, oh, you guys are talking about fruit salad and trying to change people.
It's the coating
It's
on
it's
top.
it's more of the sense of, are you trying to change their character?
Mm-hmm. The actual person,
Yeah, the
not the
actual
outside part.
individual.
Yeah.
That I think is the most important. So that's the thing in life. Treat life like a menu. If you want certain specific things that are reasonable, ask the chef of life to bring you that. If it's not what you want, say no. That's not what I ordered. I want something else. Walk away. Don't say, yeah, yeah, chef, bring it to me. Oh, there's strawberries in my fruit salad. I'm angry now. You
Yeah.
accepted it.
Yeah.
You accepted it. It's like if you go to a restaurant and you tell them, and you don't say that you're allergic to peanuts, but then they bring you peanuts.
You're going to have
So
a reaction.
you're going to have a reaction.
Yep.
So look, guys, we went on for an hour. I know that we said 30, 40 minutes, but the topic was just so
It's good. Juicy.
juicy. So we have tomorrow, Friday's topic, which is going to be how to know if a guy likes you. He claims you. So you might want to tune in for that one, because I know a lot of women are in situationships. They're at a weird standstill with a guy. We just want to cover all that up. So
Yes.
you'll see us Friday. And hopefully you took something away from this podcast. So
Yeah,
we will
thank you
see
for
you
being
then, and
here.
take care.
Take care.